Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to The Ghost of Molly McGee, Season 2, Episode 17. We're closing in. I don't know exactly how many episodes there are left. It's hard to say with a lot of shows nowadays on what the episode count's going to be, especially when the shows don't have a normal release schedule. But I'm nonetheless excited to see where this is all leading at the moment. Um, we got another episode here today. I don't know what to expect from it, as usual, but I'm hoping we get something pretty good. I'm hoping that um, we get a really good one, because since we came back from hiatus, we haven't had like a really good one. We've had some good segments, but nothing really good. You know what I mean? Um, we could use that. We could use that. But otherwise, like I said, I don't know what's to come in this episode at all. I don't know what to expect, so it might be prudent just to get on with it, just to check it out and find out. So let's do so and hope for the best. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I liked half of this episode, and it's maybe not the half you expect. Um, just initial thoughts before we get into the specifics. I thought the first half of this, the first segment, regarding Scratch's death and everything, Death Day, was honestly kind of boring. Which is really disappointing because you would think an episode that focused on that kind of thing would be interesting, but it didn't even go into any like little hints at the reality of his past like we've gotten before with other episodes. Like I didn't expect it to like really delve into like the truth of his death and everything or even his life before, but I don't know, it's just maybe a little hint here and there because that's clearly a big thing that's being built up to. So just not talking about it at all and just like coming up with like these stories and everything felt like a bit of a cheap choice. It felt very unsatisfying. And the stories that we did get just weren't interesting enough to keep my attention a lot of the time. Like, I guess Libby's story was the most interesting, but it was also just ridiculous. Like, I think my biggest issue is that all the stories were too ridiculous and just unbelievable. If the stories had been like real stories that actually could have explained how he died, I think it could have been a lot more interesting. But instead, by making them completely and utterly stupid, it takes away the excitement of the concept. Especially, again, with what we've gotten before regarding this kind of stuff. The second segment with all the magic and stuff is definitely the better one for me. Not only because I already have a vested interest and liking of magic and everything, stage magic, close-up magic, all that stuff is something that I've always really loved and something that I like get excited for, like for America's Got Talent and stuff whenever a new magician shows up on there. And I've never understood Molly's hatred of it. her big thing seems to be that it's a lie, that it's, false advertising basically. But it's like, I don't understand how that's the complaint here. I just don't get how that's the issue. It's like everybody knows magic isn't real, sure. It's an illusion. That's the point. I don't get it. But the episode was really fun nonetheless. Daryl doing another one of his schemes, this time by like butting himself into the magic industry, whatever, in Brighton. It's like the idea that there's not enough room for both of them, that there really is only enough room for one magician in Brighton, is ridiculous. But they make it work. They make it feel like it makes sense. I don't know how, but they do. And Daryl butting in on this is meant to be seen as a negative. And this was the weirdest part of the episode for me, because it's like I didn't see it as a negative. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing you have to realize. One, I believe that healthy competition is important for improvement. And not just for magic, but for any field. Healthy competition is not a negative. The idea that there can only be one magician in Brighton is ludicrous, honestly. And it would cause the entire kind of, again, to just use the term, industry of magic within the town to dry up if you just don't have competition and whatnot. Competition helps fuel all these kinds of industries and whatnot to become better, to keep going. Again, you have to have that healthy competition. It's important to the surviving and thriving of different fields like this. So, the fact that it's trying to paint Daryl as being wrong for pushing in on this and taking away this dude's reason for living and stuff is really fucking weird to me. Um, it doesn't like ruin the episode or anything, but it's just like it just feels really weird. I get the idea is that like Daryl's schemes are supposed to be seen as, shameless money making operations that are not positive in the long run. But again, this one actually seemed like it would be positive, because again, it would fuel the I keep using industry even though I know that's the wrong word, but it's just the word I'm going to use. It would fuel the industry and make magic more bountiful and plentiful within the community. It would allow it to grow and to become better. Competition is not always a bad thing. And the idea that Irving would have to leave Brighton or would have to like quit being a magician because Daryl was better or edging in on his turf or anything is stupid. It just it makes no sense. The only thing you can like kind of view it as here is that Irving was losing business because everybody was more interested in Daryl. And that's why I can kind of forgive this issue. I can kind of forgive the fact that it makes no sense otherwise. Because people were so excuse me. People were so invested in Daryl that they were actively refusing to watch Irving as well, which would not happen in real life. People who were as interested excuse me, sorry about that. people as interested in magic as these kids seem to be would be watching both of them without hesitation. It wouldn't be this tribal thing between them. These kids and adults alike would be just as invested in Irving as they were with Daryl. But I understand that this is a cartoon. They gotta have some kind of, you know, issue to resolve. Um, so it just, they make it work. But in terms of reality, in terms of like real life, this concept just would not fly because it doesn't make sense. Everything about this just wouldn't like happen in real life like this. Um, but there's also Molly's part of this. Because Molly, as we know, hates close up magic and all of that stuff. So during this entire episode, she's being kind of a petty bitch. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Um, she's trying to ruin Daryl's fun for no other reason than just because it's magic. There's literally nothing else. Like the entire idea of like Daryl ruining Irving's thing, his career and everything, that's never even brought up by Molly. That's not her thing. Daryl kind of realizes that on his own. Molly's just trying to get Daryl to stop doing magic because it's magic. It's ridiculous. And she gets so smug when it looks like Daryl's going to fail. Like even before the revelation that he should probably help Irving, it's like it looks like he's gonna fail because Scratch has to be taken to the ghost world because he's obviously been cheating using Scratch, which is another negative, admittedly. But she's so smug about it, and it's just like Molly, this is not a good look on you. This really isn't a good look on you. Like I understand if you don't like something, that's fine. You're allowed to not like something. But to be this kind of smug asshole towards your own brother just because you don't like the thing he's participating in, and it's again, it's not like her complaint or her issue was ever with like he was hurting Irving's career or anything. No, that came up from Irving himself and Daryl's realization. Her issue was solely with the magic. It was solely this petty, stupid bullshit. And it's just like, Molly. Like she did end up helping him, and we find out that she knows magic because keep your enemies close or something. Some bullshit like that. Um, I think it would have made a lot more sense if it kind of made this big reveal that Molly used to be really into magic, but that something happened that got her burned, and or not like literally burned, but maybe literally burned. Um, but something happened that not really traumatized her, but got her like really to hate magic, whether it be losing some kind of competition like this or some kind of big show issue, some massive embarrassment, something like that. I think that could have been a fantastic idea. It would explain Molly's seemingly, what's the word? Seemingly, um, I'm just going to say illogical. That's not the word I was thinking of, but her seemingly illogical hatred of magic. That's not the right word. There's a specific word I'm trying to think of. Like people use it in terms of like fears, like phobias. Like there's phobias that are reasonable, and because it's like, oh yeah, this is something that would be scary, and then there's ones that was like, that's not really, that's a weird thing to be afraid of within the context that it is. Um, there's a word, I can't think of the word though, but either way, uh, yeah, it would explain her fear, her hatred of it, while also giving a really interesting twist, a really interesting story. Instead, she just knows magic because know your enemy. That's boring, honestly. But okay, whatever. So she helps Daryl compete. Daryl chooses to throw it, and they help Irving win in the end. Um, which again, if the actual issue here, if the actual like issue is made to be more of a real problem, could have been very satisfying. But as it was, it's just a little ridiculous, a little silly. And again, this is the better of these two segments, and I would say I enjoyed this, but I'm not going to lie and say that it was perfect. It had issues and things that were just confusing about it. But I did enjoy it. Um, the magic they showed was obviously very rudimentary, very simple shit. Like making things levitate and card tricks and all. But it's like, yeah, they're not gonna like show like more advanced stuff in a children's cartoon. That just makes sense. Um, I just feel like this could have been done a little bit better. And things that could have been done to make it feel irrational. That's the word. Irrational. Molly's irrational hatred of magic. That's what I was trying to think of because I was thinking of like phobias, like irrational phobias and everything. Um, and by the way, I wouldn't use that term to like insult anyone's fears or to try to say that their fears aren't valid. An irrational phobia is just in reference to the fact that it's kind of out there and doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it. It doesn't mean that the fear itself is not valid. It doesn't mean that the person experiencing that isn't valid to do so. It'd be like, try to think of an example. Look, let's say someone had a phobia of clowns. Clowns. That's a good one, actually. That is an irrational fear. Um, Unless you have personally experienced like some kind of serial killer who was dressed as a clown, like John Wayne Gacy or someone, then being afraid of clowns is an irrational fear. And for most people, it is because it's not really based on much of anything. There's not really any logic or reasoning to it. It's just something you're just afraid of. Um, Fear of the dark that a lot of kids have growing up is another example of an irrational fear because it's like there's not really a reason for them to be afraid of the dark. It's based on what the ideas their mind conjures. On the other hand, a rational fear would be like a fear of crashing in an airplane. It's like that's pretty rational. That's pretty understandable. Or a fear of guns. That's very rational as a fear. So it's like Molly's fear here of magic. And again, it's not really much of a fear. It's more hatred. But the point is, it's still irrational. There's nothing. There's absolutely no real reason to it. So, yeah, I think it would have been interesting if it was explained through something like I mentioned, Molly having had a really bad experience with it in the past. All we know about this fear as it is just or again, not really fear, but this hatred. She just hates it. No reason, other than the flimsy excuse she gives that it's lying and everything, it's silly. But again, I'm not here to like tell anyone that they're invalid for thinking the way they are. I'm just saying it is irrational. That doesn't mean, and that goes again for any fears or issues like that, that doesn't mean that you're not valid for feeling that. You're perfectly valid for feeling that. It's just terminology, basically. But yeah, so with this segment, it's just there were some issues that were just like made it confusing for me. But the episode was still fun. It was still enjoyable. Um, I want to check something real quick. Actually, it'd probably be easier and quicker to check on my phone. Um, I want to check something specifically with season two here. Okay, so we returned with episode 15. It's only been a couple episodes since we returned. We had episode 15, which was Welcome to Necro Comic Con and Fit to Print. 16 was Smile Valley Farm and The Grand Gesture. And now 17, The Many Lives of Scratch and Alaka Sham. I would say the best of these episodes that we've had since we came back was 15, the Necro Comic Con and Fit to Print one. But all three of these episodes so far have honestly been kind of kind of mid compared to other episodes. We haven't had like a really good episode since coming back. Um, and again, I don't. It's kind of unclear how many episodes there are going to be. It doesn't say here on the Wikipedia. It lists an episode 18 right now, but it doesn't say how many episodes in total it's going to have. Once again, season 1 had 20 episodes total. But like what it's showing here for season 2, it says both for segments and episodes. It's just saying, and it literally has a to be announced and last aired. It doesn't even say like when the finale is supposed to air, so it doesn't really say on that either. Um, I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna get more than 20 episodes this time, but for now at least, it's like this current set we're going through is admittedly has been not the best. It's not been bad. None of these episodes I would say are bad. And there are some episodes in this show I would call either weaker or bad. Um or at least segments. But this is definitely the weakest we've had in a little bit, I think. Overall, like consistently weakest. And I'm hoping that it picks up pretty soon. Um, and that happens with a lot of these episodic shows. Sometimes you'll just have a stretch of episodes that just don't really do it for you. I know that the overall quality of this series is still really good, though, and even the weaker episodes are still fun to watch. So we're all good still. Um, I'm gonna have to see if there's been any like announcement of how many episodes this is gonna be. Um, Maybe I'll find out by the next time we get to this. But if you can let me know, maybe. I mentioned before that there was that rumor going around about how apparently season two was going to be the last and everything, but that was kind of disproven. And even like the Alphibia Twitter account had to retract what they said because it's like there was no evidence to support that season two's finale was going to be the end of the series. But that really doesn't tell us anything either. Because, like, I don't want to look that up and see if it said how many, or like what episode number that was going to be, because I'm afraid of seeing titles. I don't want to see episode titles. It really confuses the shit out of me why so many of these shows release their episode titles ahead of time and just spoil people like that. And people eat it up. And I don't understand why on that either. It's like, why would you want to be spoiled? I don't understand. And it's like, I know not everyone is a reactor. But still, even if you weren't reacting to the show, why would you want to be spoiled on what the episodes are going to be about ahead of time? That makes no sense to me. I don't understand. But either way, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode, these two segments of The Ghost of Molly McGee Season 2? And for now, yeah, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.